behind it is not that good. So, even though we like Dr. Layla, we need a better call sign than Doc. That is way too obvious. So, I'll tell you what. You get to give the person to your right their call sign. Okay. There we go.
My favorite Martian.
All right. Okay, good. So, Dr. Layla, what first caught your interest with the Mars One effort?
Well, my husband actually sent me an email. That's how I heard about Mars One. About maybe 3 days before the application was going to go up. And he said, I'm going to read it off so I don't screw it up. My opinion. I don't want you to, but I'd feel like a lousy husband if I knew about this and didn't send you a link. Because he knows I've always wanted, like everybody else here, right? Always wanted to go to space. So as soon as I heard about it, I obsessed for like the next 3 nights in a row and wrote it up and sent it in. That's pretty much it.
Wow. Is your husband here today?
He is not. He is off playing poker. But if we're hanging out tomorrow, he will probably join us. He's an asthmatic. Otherwise, he would also be an applicant.
Okay. So, a hand for Dr. Layla's husband. Okay, Austin.
Austin Bradley, and my call sign for Joseph Sweeney to my right, I think, is going to be Merlin, because he's going to have to come up with he's going to have to use some magic to come up with a reason to convince his girlfriend that he's going to do this.
I have 28 days to convince her to apply as well, so it's all right.
Okay, but great call sign name. Good job. Okay, so Austin, what made you, what interested you with the Mars One piece?
My mom sent me an email, and I swear it read exactly like this one. I know you really want to go to Mars, and I would feel terrible because I came across this news article on Yahoo, and this was in January, and I thought I better send it to you. So, I mean, it's exactly the same story. She knows that I want to go to Mars, and she sent it to me, and I obsessed over it and made the video, and I was one of the early applicants. I was given the opportunity to submit my application early, so I think I was 7 to submit my application. But, I mean, it's a very, very similar story.
Cool, cool. Joe.
All right, Aaron.
Announce your first journey first.
Oh, yeah, all right. Okay, so my name is Joseph Sweeney, everyone. Hi. Hi. And Aaron, I think I'd like to dub you the Olympian.
Wow.
It's not going to make sense to a lot of people. It's an inside joke that we have.
Perfect call sign then.
You will be the Olympian. And it sounds great, too.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I'll take that.
Of course, we're going to have to know the story now.
All right, so Aaron has a very famous cousin, right? Yeah. That is a gymnast. And he told us a really funny story the other night about how this gymnast cousin of his was pulled over and attempted the line, "Do you know who I am?"
More than one.
Yeah. But one of them was pulled over and tried to pull the line, "Do you know who I am?" Obviously didn't work out. So
Yeah, because the answer to that is always no.
But now hopefully when people pull you over at the Olympian, they know who you are.
That's right.
So, Joe, what made you interested in Mars One?
Right, so I can't remember how I found out about Mars One. I don't have a awesome story, somebody emailed me or anything like that. I think I found it on the internet. But the really exciting part was to be a part of something that not many people get a chance to do. I was a linguistics major. I didn't do much in science background. A lot of us never had the opportunity to join the military and go into Air Force and become an astronaut. And that's why we're all here.
By the way, most of the astronauts are either Navy or Marine Corps, just a statistical fact there.
See, that's how little I know.
And what? Andrew, and what?
Actually, Naval Academy, Marine Corps graduates are the predominant group. Back to our panel.
Yeah, so that's it. I'm really excited to be here, though.
Okay, Aaron, so you get to give Dr. Layla a new call sign.
All right. My name's Aaron Ha. As you guys kind of probably figured out with the whole thing, maybe. but I think that I would give Layla the name Bones because, well, clearly a Star Trek reference. She is the Doctor, and I think actually I commented when you put your application up, I started calling you that right away. So this is actually something that's already been there.
And I might have skeletons in my closet. So.
There you go. So Aaron, what made you want to?
I have a way better skeleton than you, I promise.
Oh God.
She's a doctor, of course she does. And we don't want to know, and the views expressed by Dr. Layla are not the views of any hospital she works with or any patient. So Aaron, what made you interested in Mars One?
Well, I actually first heard about Mars One when the press release came out, announcing that they were accepting applications. I hadn't heard anything about them before that. I couldn't not jump at the chance. I had to. Mars One is doing something that, not even the official government space programs are doing. And on top of that, they're willing to accept anybody's application, no matter what their background, and see who is really prepared to do what they want them to do. And I think that I couldn't miss that opportunity.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask the first question. So just like Michael Buffer, this is one fall TV time remaining, no eye gouging, thumb smashing, or anything like that. If you have a question and you have not written it down, please grab one of those things and write it down. It'll actually help this go faster if I'm reading the questions. I was given 6. I'm only going to read 1. I'm going to get your questions in front of the panel so that we can answer those as much as possible. If you just, surreptitiously bring it to me and hand it to me in this hand, I will hold it in this hand and read it. Okay? So we'll prime the pump with this question. For all 4 applicants, before you heard of Mars One, what did you think you were going to be doing in 2023? Let's start in the middle of the panel with my favorite Martian.
Well, recently I worked for the federal government here in the Washington, D.C. area with Joe Smith. That's how I met him. And I left my career there for 12 years and because I discovered a passion for physics when I was 30. And I think with physics, I can give something to humanity that I couldn't do when I was working at my old government job. So in the future, if the Mars One astronaut thing doesn't work out for me, then I think that I will be a PhD physicist and doing some research to help, maybe rocket or some kind of technology to get stuff off of Earth without using chemical propellant, because I think that would be a huge boon to space exploration.
Great. Jody, what would you be doing in 2023?
I have been a college student for about 6 years now, undergraduate, graduate, and I don't know if many other college students in here know, we don't plan much of our lives on the 1 month trajectory.
Semester to semester.
If you had asked me 1 month ago, what would I be doing in 1 month, I couldn't have said I would be here. So I think I'll give just a cheesy general answer. What would I be doing in 2023, Mars One or without Mars One? And it's pursuing something that you love to do. Finding a goal, finding a dream, and making sure that no matter what stands in your way, you are doing it. I recently graduated. I just got a fancy new job. I'm not making minimum wage anymore, flipping burgers or anything like that. So, who knows what the future holds for any of us? It's really just sticking with that dream and just don't let it go.
Aaron?
10 years from now, if you'd have asked me that question 3 months ago, what are you going to be doing 10 years from now? My answer would be that, I would be working a job, probably, a decent job, but not necessarily anything that was driving my passion. And my passion really would have been dedicated, I would hope that I would have been married and had kids, and I would have put my passion into my family.
That's a very interesting point, and Doc, we'll end with you on that question. What did you think you'd be doing in 2023?
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I'm already doing exactly what I wanted to be doing, which is become an ER doc and maybe an astronaut. So I'm already doing what I want to do, and I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna hear a gasp. I know I am. I hate kids. I never wanted kids, so that wasn't an issue with me.
Well, you know.
That's the response I usually get. Thank you very much. No, obviously I take care of kids in the ER. Kids love me because I'm a gamer, so I treat them like adults who play games. They love that. But yeah, so for me, it's exactly what I'm doing now. Work in the ER, spend my free time obsessing on space things on the internet and playing games. Right? What else?
Well, great. I think one of the things you can see with all 4 of our applicants and with the people that you've seen, there's a buzzing somewhere, and it's coming from me. Okay. Is that they all have a view about this that's broader than themselves. And the other thing they have is a huge support system. I mean, everybody mentioned somebody else being involved in them being involved in Mars One. So our first question sort of relates to that. What level of risk would you accept for making it to Mars and lasting the 2 years? So we'll go in reverse order this time. Doc?
You want a percentage? What? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, it does. I thought that was a smiley face, but you're right. It does say percentage. So what percentage of risk would you be willing to accept?
That's a good question. I only have to survive 2 years.
Sure.
For 2 years, I'd probably want closer to 50-50, but if I can have 20 years, 1 in 100. So, you know, it depends on how optimistic I am about the whole process. I'm not, this is not, I think, let's be clear, all of us have commented on this on the Aspiring Martians group on Mars One many times. None of us are planning to die. We all recognize that we could. So for me, 1 in 100, if I might have a long life on Mars and really do something, I'll take a long shot. But if I really thought I was going to die in 2 years, 50-50.
Okay. Joe, what do you think?
I'm an eternal optimist, and so I think if the odds were something like, you know, the risk was 99% or something like that, you've still got that 1% where things can go right. Even if it was 99.999%, it's maybe it's a bad quality, but I love the quality. Yeah, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, then that's clear too. So hey, but yeah, no, I think
with you sometime.
No, but if the point is, if the risks were really high, I would still pursue the program, whether it's for 2 years, whether it's for 2 months, whether it's for 2 decades, I think that. And I think as long as there's a small possibility to do something great, I think it's worth any kind of risk at that point.
Great. Wow, that's a very interesting way to look at it. So, one of the things that is going to be necessary is for more than just the Aspiring Martians group, and even more than just Bas to be involved in this. What sort of sponsorship should Mars One be aiming for, or what sort of sponsorship should individual astronauts be aiming for? Austin.
This question comes up a lot in the Aspiring Martians group and in the Mars One fans forum, and there have been really, really great ideas about like sponsorship. The biggest one probably is sell space on the side of the spaceship for corporate organizations to put their logo. Because who wouldn't, like, what organization board or somebody wouldn't want to put forward right on the side of the rocket ship that's going to land on Mars? And then because we broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's huge advertising for them. And I think that that could be a lucrative funding source to get this project off the ground if it came to that. Another option that comes up a lot is Kickstarter. And Kickstarter has been very successful at funding like gaming things and movies and things like that. And I think that with the right set of incentives, I think people in the public would be willing to provide, maybe $10 or something for a Kickstarter campaign that would at least give some money to Mars One for this. You could sell you could get your name on a plaque that goes to Mars, or a name on the side of the lander or something like that for $10. And I think that a lot of people, I would pay $10 to have my name on the side of the lander, even if I don't go. So those are probably two ideas that I've heard most often.
One of the controversial ideas that I've heard that I'm actually against, but I think there's a decent amount of people that are for it, is selling the first words on Mars. Right. Well, or charging people to enter theirs into to enter their idea into a contest to see who would actually get it. Right. I think that it has the potential to generate a huge amount of money, but I just the moral aspects of that seem dubious at best.
Yeah, and looking at the comments, the things people would say.
Some of the things that people have commented in the group that they would say is the first things. I mean, I know a lot of them are said in jest, but I'll bet you a ton of them would get submitted too.
Yeah, that's the question I was about to ask.
Now we're talking ethics, right?
Right. I mean,
I think we can all agree that the folks that would probably get chosen are people who already have an idea of honoring their word. So let's assume that that's the case, and that actually leads us into the next question. So the first thing I want to say is a question to the audience. By show of hands, how many people participate in the forums online? So how many of you are more than just casual participants? You actually have posted something, or you share stuff, or you comment more than just a smiley face? Okay, so the entire audience is really active in what's going on. So the next question is for the panel. Was the Aspiring Martians group spawned from the Mars One fan forum? Or how did it come about?
So I created the Aspiring Martians group. It'll be 3 months tomorrow, actually. I was really bored at work.
See, don't you love it how the truth comes? Now, of course, when he's being interviewed by Paula Zahn or somebody, and he says that, it struck him as he was, breaking through the wall on a 20-mile run, nobody go on, Facebook or Twitter and say, that's BS. I remember when he said such and such.
No, but I had just finished my application, and I felt very alone. Nobody that I know likes space. My girlfriend is terrified of space and snakes, and the combination of the two would be.
Samuel L. Jackson is sad to hear that.
And I had nobody to talk to my experience with. I had all these questions running through my head. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to make friends. And that's really where the inspiration behind creating the Aspiring Martians group happened. I created the group in the first week. It was really just me, throwing these news updates and being really annoying. Being like, hey, everybody, check out what Mars One said. Look at all these different articles that Mars One is in. And it was annoying. But it's grown significantly. We have charts that we post up onto the Facebook group every now and then. But I believe, and I'm not sure about the exact number, but I think we hit about 1,400 today.
We were at 1396. Yeah, the last time. So
I've been adding people during the morning.
Oh,
yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. So to go from one person to 1,400 in 3 months, and everyone's just been so great in this group. Do you think there's going to be negativity? Do you think there's going to be trolls? Do you think there's going to be people just on there just to bash the program? No, it's been a lot of people asking questions. People, wanting to meet each other. It's been this event right here where everyone comes together and wants to share their experiences. It's been fascinating, just the level of community that we've been able to build so far.
It's like having a family.
Yeah.
That has specific interests that you share with them in space and space exploration. But the reason that there's probably 10 or 15 something Facebook groups out there for aspiring Mars people, and the reason that the Aspiring Martians group became the one was because Joe, when he first set it up, he recruited aggressively.
It's a nice way of saying I stalk.
Yes.
Recruit, stalk.
Yeah.
Tomato, tomato.
And then it was kind of like the pyramid, he recruited, and everybody under him recruited,
And for every person that you recruit, you'll get it.
but then, of course, Mars One took notice of us, and as soon as we posted, or as soon as they released their newsletter and mentioned us right in the newsletter, it just exploded, and so
we were adding 4 or 5 people. I mean, it was just like your in the documentary talking about the amount of emails that you got at the beginning. 5 emails a minute. We were adding that many people per minute to the group once you sent that email out. It was insane.
Wow. So, speaking of the email, there's a question from a prominent member of the audience. Would you apply for a mission that keeps you alive on Mars for only 1 year? No guarantees after that.
I understand the sense of humor part in the application that we had to do now.
So this is easy for me to answer because, and my mom, my wife, and my friends can attest to this. Even before I knew about Mars One, I always told them that I wanted to go to Mars, and that in my mind, that was always a one-way trip. And before Mars One, I never thought about, and it never crossed my imagination that I could settle there. You know what I mean? I didn't think about coming home or anything. It was just a one-way trip, and whatever happens when you get to Mars, you fly past, you fly into it or whatever. But so, or not even boots on the ground.
But you only have 1 year guarantee.
So this is the
one Mars year.
I like the way you guys are thinking. Let's say standard solar year. Okay.
So the answer for me is yes, because before Mars One, I would have gone without the possibility of even landing and living over here.
So, can I ask a question on your question?
Sure.
For that year, is that like you're supplied with enough supplies to survive?
Right.
Okay. So I would say yes, because I think that gives me a full year in order to build up my own survival system. A year is a pretty good amount of time, and if you are spending all of that time working on building up a farming system, working on building up your own sort of life support, which would be really difficult. But I mean, it would be worth it because I think that assuming that you're not going alone, you would have a good amount, a lot of people to be able to put brain power on solving these problems. I said in the Aspiring Martians group at one point, somebody was talking about whether or not things were going to be. I just lost my train of thought. But basically, what I was just going to say is that just get me boots on the ground. Boots on the ground, I'll do the rest. There's going to be stuff, there's going to be problems. It's not going to be 100%. You get me there, and I'll make it happen.
To follow on Aaron's train of thought, I think I saw his train derail, so I'm going to pick it up. So, yes, very much so. If my train doesn't. I think everybody, the public, is concerned about this aspect of continuing to get funding after we land on Mars because the public will lose interest and not watch the TV show anymore. Okay, big deal. That might be true. In my mind, I think that once Mars One proves that human beings can land people on Mars and start to live there, I think that there's going to be so much national and international, private, government, public interest that the funding will be there. Maybe I'm an optimist like Joe, but I think once there are people on Mars, there's going to be this huge community coming together of people wanting to support. Hey, those people are out there. We need to do what we can to support them, and that's going to come from government organizations and private organizations all over the world. In my mind.
It depends how much I can accomplish in that year. To tie in, if I'm going to be able to go there with, say, a colony of rats and establish that the radiation isn't going to kill them and they can breed, so that we can then tell people that, hey, there's a chance you can actually go to Mars and actually have a colony, then yes, I would still apply.
Yeah, you got to make that a really productive year.
That year has to count. You don't get my life for nothing, but I will give it up for this because this is my dream and it's all of our dream.
So I'm assuming then that if you only get guaranteed a year, you're not going to be posting on Facebook or Twitter?
No, you have to do that. You got to tell everybody what's going on.
Okay, so you think actually part of the survival system is people caring about what happens to you, and so you guys have to be an active part of that.
Absolutely.
Good. So that leads us to our next question. By the way, audience, you guys are doing a great job of stringing these together for me. I'm not doing, you guys are doing all the heavy lifting. If the four of you got chosen for the mission, for the first mission, so
Just a question, since there's 2 guys and 2 girls, so I'm definitely a guy.
It's Joe. No.
Hypothetically.
Okay, got it.
that, first of all, that was funny. Second of all, and whoever sent me this has a funny sense of humor too. How many of you would make it to Mars unmolested? Define unmolested at will. Okay, I have to out the person. Person who gave me this, raise your hand. Okay. Okay.
No, I would be that person who would probably be molested first, I think. Being I'll take home the team, guys.
So let's turn this question serious for a second. If the four of you know each other, and you know each other even better because of the forum and because of today, how important is it that you know the folks that are going to be on your crew before you go? How does that affect your decision?
Yes. I mean, that's the most crucial part of this entire mission. Is it doesn't matter what your background is educationally, it matters how well you can work in a team. And if you can't get along with 3 other members of your team for the rest of literally the rest of your life in a room, you know, a habitat probably no bigger than this area, that's what really matters. Yeah, all added up and everything. You know, it really matters what kind of temperament, what kind of personality you have. You need to make that more than a family. That's got to be your friends, your family, your dog, wrapped up into one.
Okay, which one of you is the dog? Okay. Okay. All right. So since I have not been fed with a recent question, and we talked about possibly selling the first words, let's assume that we don't sell the first words. If you're selected for Mars One and you get to be the spokesperson, what would your first words be if you were allowed to make the first words on Mars?
Well, I don't think I can say them now because if I make it, then everybody already knows.
Exactly.
No, you can't know my first words.
Now that you think about it,
There's a first, I can't remember the book now for the life of me, but there was a science fiction novel written, and there was the first words spoken, and it really resonated with me. It can't be the first words, someone's already written it, so it doesn't matter at this point. But it was something like, I take this step for all mankind so that we may together as one people walk among the stars. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, first line.
Actually,
but it gives hope to the future as well. It's not just that you're landing on Mars. It's not just a single one step that you sent on the moon. It's that we are going to take this stride together towards the stars and beyond.
you know,
That's what resonated with me.
Curiosity's Twitter account posted something about leaving tracks on Mars, which actually got me thinking, you know, all up somewhere, something about like the first words and whatnot. And so it got me thinking about maybe saying something along the lines of how for decades we have left tracks on this planet and now we're finally leaving footprints.
I'm hiring somebody to write it for me.
and by the way, will they get a commission?
How are they going to collect?
Post-launch, of course, pre-launch.
They should pay me to do it.
Yeah, they should pay Mars One for that privilege.
Okay.
I'm thinking Hank Azaria, you know.
So, one more filler question before we're almost at the end of the time for the panel here. All of us have the thing that got us interested in space. Whether it was when you were a kid or since you've become an adult, what was the thing that made you first think about living someplace other than here?
I know. Yeah, immediately. I know the exact moment. I was flying back from I think I was in high school. I was flying back from Florida or something back to where I was from, Colorado. And we were so high in the atmosphere, and I had flown lots of times, but I guess maybe because I was a little bit older, my mind worked a little bit differently. But as I was looking out the window, I think it was starting to get a little bit dark, and I could see the horizon, and the horizon of the Earth, you could see the curvature a little bit. And then you could see it was just getting dark up there. And at that exact moment, I knew that I wanted to be an astronaut because I wanted to go into space to see it from that perspective, to see space and also to see Earth from that perspective. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't have a first moment that I can recall. It's literally been something that I've wanted forever. Laying in bed as a child, right next to my bed, posted, within reaching distance of my bed, was a poster of the solar system with every man-made satellite traced out as to where it had gone. And that's one of my oldest memories. So it's literally been there forever. My desire to go and explore somewhere genuinely new, somewhere humanity's never been before.
Yeah, I don't want to sound tacky, but I feel like you're kind of born knowing that you want to travel, that you're almost like a nomad, that you need to get from here to somewhere else, and it needs to be done quickly. My younger sister and I used to play Legos as like kids all the time. I know, yeah. I definitely still do at this point. But no, we used to build like all these spaceships. Didn't matter if the direction sense the way we used to do. We used to just throw them all into a big pile and make our own spaceships at that point. And that was literally all we did with our Legos was make spaceships. Didn't matter if it was like an Indiana Jones Lego set or anything like that. It's always been about space, and I think I'd have to say I was born or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember either, but I can tell you what I'm going to write in my memoirs, which is going to be when I was 15 months old, and we landed on the moon. My dad said, I pointed to it and giggled and said, moon! So I'm going to claim that that's how it happened. And given that my parents are sadly deceased, they can't confirm or deny that, so you're going to have to believe me.
This is on video, though, eh?
Maybe it could, I don't know, it's probably true. Could be true.
It could be true. So, our last question from the audience, well, our second to last question from the audience. If you don't get chosen for Mars One, now or in the future, will you continue your passion for space exploration, and if so, how?
I would like, Mars One is going to, well, first of all, there's going to be multiple people that are training, so I would like to be in that training process. But at the same time, I'm assuming that once people land, it's going to be similar to how NASA ran the Apollo program. There's going to be people on the ground, basically running simulations of what could go wrong, when it could go wrong, how it could go wrong. And I think that it would be really gratifying to be a part of that, to be able to maintain a relationship with Mars One such that I'm still directly helping out and helping to solve problems for the people that are there.
I think for me, I would want to focus more on the community aspect of Mars One and space exploration if I weren't chosen. One of the most gratifying experiences of doing this whole thing has been the Aspiring Martians group. And everyone coming together and just feeling like you guys are family, and I can talk to you about anything and not have to feel self-conscious about it, not feel silly or stupid or anything like that. And I think it's really important to keep the public interested and connected to Mars One at the same time. Make it feel like they are actually a part of it, even if they're not selected to go to Mars right away. Mars 2, maybe, so reaching out to the community, I think, would be great.
If I'm not selected, I've always wanted to apply for NASA and to do their astronaut program, of course. But since I joined the Army after high school, I didn't have an opportunity to get a college degree, which is what I'm doing now. So I think once I achieve my education goals, I still would like to put in my application at NASA, and maybe hopefully by then they'll catch up with the Mars program and I'll really go with them. But I think I would like to be a NASA astronaut after I get my degree and still do that.
we'll hang out the gift shop signs for you when you guys finally get there.
Yeah. You know, I always knew there was a chance I wouldn't get inspected, injected, detected, and selected. So I prepared for this question. I wanted to go to the red planet Mars, but I didn't get picked by Bas. I wanted to go to the red planet Mars. Now I gaze longingly at the stars. But I don't care I wasn't picked for space. I'm cheering for the future of the human race. Someday we'll all go to the red planet Mars, cause Mars one leads the way to the stars. Everybody! Someday we'll all go to the red planet Mars, cause Mars one leads the way to the stars!
Don't you think that now you just want to go out and get into like a 5-car accident so you can end up in the ER with her as your doctor? And also, Austin, I've been told to tell you that we are not going to Mars in a Ford. So I'd like to, well, hey, maybe it'll be a hybrid something. What I'd like to do now is to give each one of the members of the panel a chance to make some final comments, and then we'll break for this part of the panel. And I want to say it's been a pleasure talking to all 4 of you here. If you ever wonder, is the human race doomed? And then you watch all the reality television, all you have to do is not watch that stuff. There's other stuff to watch, and this is an example of something like that. So my congratulations to all of you. I think you've already achieved the hardest part, which is breaking your mind free of the traditional thinking to even think that this is possible. So hats off to you guys. So we'll start with the Olympian, go to Merlin, then MFM and Bones.
I just really want to thank all of you guys for coming. We were talking last night, taking bets on how many people would be here, and one of the numbers that got thrown out there was, I think, 7. So we did better than that. Yeah. Actually, I think you did 50.
I think 51.
Yeah, I think you're closest.
I counted this morning, we had 53 in the room, but there were still more people coming.
I still think you're closest. The next night, I bet I went for 75 and you went for 87. Yeah, the optimist. 9.99%. So, I just really want to thank you guys all for coming here and being a part of the Aspiring Martians group. It's been amazing seeing all the positivity, all of the growth, and all of the excitement, and actually having a place to sort of discuss all of the questions that we've had about Mars One. One of the things that I found a little bit frustrating after having applied was there was no way to talk to any of the other applicants. I can watch these people's videos and all day long, and I see all of the little descriptions about them and all of this stuff, but I had no way to talk to people. I had no way to talk to people about some of the voting stuff and all of the other things that I wanted to know more about, and it's just been really awesome to have the opportunity to talk with all of you guys and just share all of the information that we've all